The deal that made Bill Gates a billionaire.
Picture this. It's 1980. We're inside the imposing headquarters of IBM. In one corner, you have the giant itself, a corporate titan, the undisputed king of technology. Think mainframes, massive computers, the kind of stuff only governments could dream of. And in the other corner, a 25-year-old kid in a rumpled suit with a poorly tied knot. That young man is Bill Gates, and he's about to receive the greatest gift in business history, handed to him on a silver platter by the very giant that should have crushed him. This is the story of how one catastrophic mistake, one moment of corporate arrogance, cost IBM trillions and built the Microsoft empire. In the late 70s, IBM was the definition of hardware. They were the big iron. But a new threat was emerging from garages and workshops: the personal computer. Little upstarts like Apple were making these toys, and IBM, worried about being left behind, decided it was time to step in, legitimize the PC market, and of course dominate it completely. They codenamed their secret mission Project Chess. To get their PC to market fast, IBM made a fateful decision. They wouldn't build everything themselves. They'd use off-the-shelf parts from other companies. This was a radical move for IBM, a company used to controlling every single screw and wire. But the most crucial part they needed wasn't a piece of hardware. It was the soul of the machine, the operating system. Their search first led them to a company called Digital Research, the makers of the leading OS at the time. But those talks fell apart in a now infamous story of missed meetings and miscommunications. So, the buttoned-up IBM executives found themselves knocking on the door of a tiny startup in Washington state called Microsoft. And here's the kicker, the detail that makes this story legendary. When IBM came calling, Microsoft did not have an operating system to sell. Not even close. But did Bill Gates admit that? Of course not. He saw the opportunity of a lifetime. He looked the IBM executives in the eye and confidently promised he could deliver exactly what they needed. What happened next was pure entrepreneurial hustle. Gates scrambled. He found a small company called Seattle Computer Products that had developed a basic system they called QDOS, the quick and dirty operating system. This is the exact moment where the tectonic plates of the tech world shifted. This is where IBM made the single biggest corporate blunder of the 20th century. You have to understand IBM's mindset. They were a hardware company. To them, the money was in the physical machine. The box, the keyboard, the monitor. The operating system? That was just a trivial piece of software. The gas needed to make their expensive car run. It was a commodity, an afterthought. Bill Gates, on the other hand, saw the future with crystal clarity. He knew that whoever controlled the software controlled everything. So when it came time to negotiate, IBM was focused on the wrong thing. They offered Gates a choice. They could buy MS-DOS from him outright for a lump sum, or they could license it, paying him a royalty for every IBM PC they sold. For IBM, the licensing deal seemed simple. They were thinking about saving a few bucks up front. But Gates, playing a completely different game, added one crucial clause to the contract. A clause that IBM, in its haste and its hardware-obsessed worldview, readily agreed to. The clause stated that Microsoft would retain the right to license MS-DOS to any other computer manufacturer. IBM signed on the dotted line. Why? Because in their world, the idea that anyone else would be making a PC was laughable. They were IBM. Their brand name alone was a guarantee of market dominance. Who would dare compete with them? They believed they were creating a closed system, just like their mainframes. They couldn't have been more wrong. On August 12, 1981, the IBM PC was launched, and it was a massive success. It flew off the shelves. IBM had done it. They had legitimized the personal computer. But their strategy of using off-the-shelf parts had an unintended consequence. Because the architecture wasn't proprietary, other companies could easily reverse engineer it. And that's exactly what happened. Soon the market was flooded with IBM clones. Companies we know today, like Compaq and Dell, started building their own PCs that were cheaper and often faster than IBM's original. These clones were a direct copy of IBM's hardware design. But they all needed one thing to work: an operating system. And who owned the only compatible operating system on the planet? Bill Gates. Every time a clone manufacturer built a PC, they had to go to Microsoft and buy a license for MS-DOS. IBM had created the entire market, only to hand the keys to the kingdom over to their young partner. The business model was genius. While IBM was stuck selling physical machines with manufacturing costs and shrinking profit margins, Microsoft was selling software, a digital product that could be copied infinitely at virtually no cost. Every license sold was almost pure profit. IBM was selling one car. Microsoft was selling the gas to every car on the road, no matter who built it. The scale of this mistake is staggering. It wasn't just a loss of a few $1 million in royalties. IBM lost the entire software industry. They lost control of the platform, the ecosystem, and ultimately, their supremacy in the world of personal computing. That single, poorly considered clause in their contract allowed Bill Gates to build a monopoly that would make him the richest man in the world. IBM's story is a timeless lesson in business. Their arrogance and their fixation on the tangible, the physical hardware, blinded them to the true source of value. They saw the box, but they missed the system. They saw the machine, but they missed the code. True, lasting power in the digital age doesn't always come from the thing you can touch, but from the invisible system that runs it all. Because of one bad deal, one colossal failure of vision, IBM accidentally funded the rise of its greatest competitor and changed the course of technology forever. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. See you in the next one.